All right. Good evening, afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. I am Dee from H&D Abroad. It is our self-care sister day on our channel. And to introduce myself, I am Dee, one of two. My husband and I have this channel to share our real time journey moving abroad. And we share different aspects of our lives as we are planning and implementing our our overall plan to leave the United States and move to a place that feels like home. We're sharing the folks that we're meeting along the way, the research that we're doing, and the scouting trips that we're taking, so that maybe you might consider doing some version of that, some version of freedom for yourself. So if that is of interest to you, please feel free to like this video. I will wait. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so that you know when we go live like we are today. So I want to say welcome to Temple. She is a regular in our audience. And to say hello to my sister. Hello, Frances.
Hey, my friend, how are you?
Absolutely. Frances and I are both in the Exodus Summit community. You all know I mention Exodus Summit probably every Thursday for sure. But it is the gift that keeps on giving, especially as I continue to manifest one aspect of my vision board, and that is friendship. And so Frances and I are connected in a couple of different ways, but I'm going to ask her to introduce herself, and then I'm going to go into what makes her probably one of my new close friends that are going to be helping me through this particular season, this particular time of year. So, Frances, introduce yourself.
Yes. Hi, everybody, and thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here with you, Dee. I'm Frances, like Dee said, and my little company is called Find Her Freedom. And basically, Find Her Freedom is a career break coaching service that helps Black women, sisters like us, find their freedom through career breaks of all sorts and sizes because everybody's break is not going to be the same, and it's not a one size fits all. Everybody has different needs, and so that's what I aspire to do, to help other Black women take advantage of a career break. And so, yeah, after experiencing one of my own and it being life changing, I said, this is something that is needed, necessary, important, and
Mhm.
it's something that I am going to take up the torch and go with it.
And I am so glad that you are doing it. What I love is Frances isn't just a career coach because she believes that women, that Black women in particular, should take the time for rest. But in my first conversation with Frances, she was like, I've been gone for 2 years and I'm not going back. She was like, I don't care what I have to do. What about my life needs to be adjusted and changed and realigned? I can
Mhm.
tell you for sure it does not include a corporate 9 to 5. And
Oh,
so it was refreshing to have another person besides gallivanting grandma that
mhm.
is in my corner saying, hey sis, it don't even need to be that way anymore. um, I have been blessed to be surrounded by people like Sabangale, who started her channel We Don't Retire, We Ascend, who has been like, look, I could stay, it's not that I can't. It's not that there aren't aspects of the job that fulfill me, or that, that at least from a monetary standpoint, could I could make space for some more money,
Hmm.
but I choose blank. I choose joy. I choose free time. I choose me. I choose no, whatever that is. So I want to ask you, and oh, I forgot to say why you mean the world to me
Hmm.
at this time of year. I have found another HR friend. And so Frances and I both have worked. She has worked in corporate HR. She understands that structure, the box that
Hmm.
we live in, and the pressures this time of year when we're going through, annual enrollment, or when we're getting ready for end of year audits and things like that. That downward pressure is happening. So if you have someone in your life that is in human resources, it's why I connected with Sabangale, because she was in HR. I mean, like, y'all are finding me, and I'm eternally grateful that there's life after. So so can you kind of give us a little bit of background, because we're going to be talking about how to avoid burnout. Is there any truth to the ability to avoid burnout? I mean, like, aren't we on a cliff always at the point of, or the vulnerability of burnout? Tell us, at a high level of your story, the the AD part of before your sabbatical.
Okay, sure, sure. Just like you said, I was a career HR professional of about 30 years. And so in the hospitality industry primarily. And, those are, that is an industry where you're always on. It's a 24/7 operation when you talk about hotels and restaurants, and in my area, casinos, gaming, that kind of thing. And
Mhm.
so my in my last role, it was in a startup. And so when I first started, I was an HR of one. So I didn't have any help. It was all me. You know what I mean? And as the company grew and my role as well grew, it grew so much that when I left, what the last position I held was actually a dual role. So I was also HR and operations. And so on top of that, I was also a single mom. And so in effect, I had three jobs, two at the job and one at home. And so you're always on. You're on at work because, you have these two roles that you're trying to fulfill. And you're on at home because it's just you and, in my case, my daughter. So I have to be on for her at all times because, that's what moms do. That's what we do. You know what I mean? And it just, it was a lot. And I tell people all the time that the pandemic was a blessing to me, because that is what changed and sent me on a trajectory of something has to change. The world shut down, but
Mhm.
because of my role and my position in my company, I had to still keep working in the sense of, the infrastructure still had to stay up, the
Mhm.
bills still had to be paid.
Mhm.
If employees called for whatever, somebody needed to answer to them or help them in whatever way, shape, or form they needed help. And that was me.
Mhm.
But I guess the upside to that was, since I was working, I still got paid. And so at that point, my daughter was in 10th grade. And I realized then, it's like, wait a second, in 2 years, she's going to be gone.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And right around that time, well, maybe a few months, because the pandemic was started in, like, I don't know, March or something like that.
Correct.
I don't know how it happened, Dee, and I don't know how it happened for you, but all of a sudden I started seeing this stuff in my Facebook called Exodus Summit out of nowhere.
100%. It was like, where have you been if y'all have been around? Yeah.
Mhm. And this was like maybe August, July of 2020 when I
Mhm.
first saw it. And that was like the light bulb went off. And I was like, this is
It
something
could
that,
be different. It could be different.
this could work really well for me. I should do this. I want to do this. And so, I mean, from there, I mean, everything just started to, like you say, go down a rabbit hole because now you start to hear about other women that are doing these things and have, whether they left their jobs or they moved to other countries or whatever the case may be. And I don't know how long you were or when you were introduced to Exodus Summit, but I'm like OG Exodus Summit
Oh
2020.
yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
so,
2020, 2020, maybe spring of 2021 at the latest. Because I got in on that first summit where they had all the ladies from talking about being in different countries. I was
mhm,
like, oh, we everywhere? Like we
yeah,
are doing that?
yes. And that first one was like a week long, whereas
Yeah,
now it's like 3 days. It was
correct.
a whole week. And I mean, I was at work and I was looking at this thing from my computer.
It was
You know what
nice
I mean?
because in HR, we don't, I mean, we could, everything that we do is on our computers. And
Hmm.
so, I mean,
Hmm.
we weren't, I was already home one day a week. I don't know if they had any flexibility in your schedule. I was home once a week and we just rolled into every day at home.
Hmm.
And so, but I initially thought it was a pot of gold.
Hmm. And for
And
me, it was like, this is what I have been looking for, waiting for, you know what I mean? And so
yeah,
my daughter, because the schools were closed, and so I switched her to an online program. So she was actually
correct.
at home doing her schooling.
Same.
And
Mhm.
once I started to hear the stories and to started to do the research and look into all of the different aspects of, getting your money right and decluttering and travel and all the things that, to get in line to do something like this, I just hunkered down, man, and I just did what I had to do. I paid off all my debts and decluttered, and I just set things in motion. And
Mhm.
I gave myself a runway in that I didn't, I got introduced to it in 2020.
Mhm.
Initially, I thought I was going to do it and pull the trigger in 2021, but I wasn't ready, or I didn't feel like I was ready. I had everything in line that the way that I wanted it to be. And
Mhm.
so I decided I'd do it in 2022. Once, and my daughter would have already been getting out of high school and looking to go off to college. And so that's what I did. And I took those 2 years and I got everything lined up just the way I wanted. And don't get me wrong, I didn't do it alone. I had a lot of help. I
Mhm.
had help from Rashida. I had help from Adelia. I mean, I used all the resources that they were offering to help me get to where Katrina McGee, to help me get to where I wanted to be and felt comfortable.
I
And
wanna I wanna have you pause because
okay.
if you get anything from Frances,
Mhm.
she's probably an expert in a lot of areas. You're probably I mean, when you're in operations, you're able to see process everywhere. I mean, that's the skill set you have to be able to do that. Cause, impact, staffing, budget. I mean, you've got to have all
Mhm.
that in your head as you're making decisions and planning and you said I don't have to be the expert in everything. I can reach out to folks that know a thing and bring them into my process.
Mhm.
Why?
you can't do everything alone. And as much as people want you to believe, especially us as Black women, that we have to do it all and be everything for everyone, no, no. And why not take the help from someone that has done it? You know what I mean? And these were people that had done it,
Yes.
that had, traveled and lived abroad and saved their money and invested their money. And so they had the experiences that I wanted for myself.
Mhm.
And, why go it alone when you have these experts available? And the best thing about it is these women were willing to help.
Come on now.
Okay. It's not like, "Oh, I'm not going to help her, or I don't know her."
Well,
That
I got
whole
mine, you need to get yours.
get your
That is
own. Nope.
that if you all don't know Exodus Summit, you need to get to know Exodus Summit because, hey, if I'm inviting Frances into my process, that we share a lot of our personal stories, but because I believe in Frances, if she's a career break coach, take my money. Okay? Because
Mhm.
I know she has given evidence of her ability and that I can trust that. And so if I'm giving my money in to other people in other ways in my life, I'm going to tell you how Exodus Summit has helped me is I don't have to I literally go I'm developing my own internal Rolodex. What sister do I know that if I'm going to hire a service or have something in my life, why not why not trust someone who is doing the thing
Mhm.
and who has experience doing it? I needed I wanted to make sure that that point came out. So in your story,
Mhm.
some people it's just like I was in a meeting and I closed my computer, got a FedEx box, put a shipping label on it. And the last message I typed was, what did they say? Um, uh, uh, they're giving their notice effective immediately. What was the turning point? So you brought these people together. Was it an abrupt decision or was it really that meticulous? I've got a plan, I've got a number in mind, these set of circumstances.
Mhm.
what
Mhm.
what what came together for you? Because there is a whole community of the I quits.
Right, right. Yeah. Well, for me, I'm a planner by nature,
Yeah.
and I like to plan, and I like to know, like you said, operational, you need to know, like, where everything is, and that is my nature.
Yeah.
And so even though for me, the whole journey really started in 2020, but I didn't actually activate until 2022. All that time, I knew it was coming and I was preparing for it internally and privately. Um, but I didn't tell anyone outside of my main circle,
Mhm.
close circle, which is very small, what I was really doing and planning. When it came to the job, because of the level that I held in the company,
Ah.
I didn't think it was fair for me to give them a 2 week notice. And so one of the things that I did, unbeknownst to people maybe on a lower level than I was, I started to give like managers and supervisors, give them more opportunities and start to introduce them to more work.
Mhm.
And in my mind, I am preparing them for my exit. And they are thinking, okay, I am getting more work to do, or she's showing me how to do X, Y, and Z. And in some cases, it came with, okay, this is like additional responsibilities, additional compensation. Not all.
Mhm.
Um, But I looked at the people that I knew were capable,
Mm-hmm.
um, that I knew would be there for the long haul, because it was not a huge company,
Mm-hmm.
but I did not want to see them fail. But
Right.
I also wanted to give those individuals behind me an opportunity to come up.
Yes.
And so I started to train them unbeknownst to them for those opportunities. And then I had a conversation with my boss maybe in December of 2021, and I kind of planted the seed. I didn't go into any details, and and I just kind of let it simmer in his mind or in his head. And I could see that it was kind of like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? Because he would keep asking me like every other week. So are you whatever, whatever? And I was like, yeah, but don't worry about it. I mean, I'm not going to leave you high and dry. And then finally in January of that year, I said, I mean, the next month, I said, it's on now. And I told them it's going to be in June. So I gave them a runway of
Mm-hmm.
6 months because of
Okay.
the relationship that I have had with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will say that it was not a toxic environment for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was just time for me to
Mm-hmm.
do for me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it
Yeah.
wasn't a horrible place to work. It was just time. And so from January to June, I continued on and I continued to put people in place and position and to be ready for when I finally told it or made it public that this is what I'm going to do. And by that time, a lot of them were ready. They were ready to take on the challenge. So I mean, that's how it worked out for me. And I know a lot of people, it's everybody's situation is different. A lot of people do work in toxic environments, and they're just like, bump this, I'm out of here. And
Mm-hmm.
you gotta do what you gotta do for you. But it wasn't like that for me.
I Marissa must have seen the questions that I sent you. There is an aspect to this process that is the planning, that is the quantitative
Mhm.
portion, the things that that have some structure. But when you talk about mindset and being emotionally ready, and we're going to talk a little bit more about stigma and what we tell ourselves and what we anticipate those who are of influence with us around
Mhm.
us, what how to prepare. How did you prepare for that part of um, saying it's time for me to release work and embrace more of myself, my time? So what started the process internally of knowing it was time to go?
You know, the short answer, I was tired. I was tired
Like
because
in your body?
yes, I told this to Diamond yesterday. I would get to work and be in my car in my parking spot and did not want to get out the car and just sat there. It's like, do I really have to get out? Do I really have to go? So I was just really tired.
Hmm.
Um, I was not, the work did not bring me joy and fulfillment anymore. I felt like I was just going through the motions, basically. Um, Number three, in my mind, I didn't feel or see that there was anywhere higher for me to go because I was basically number three. Then it was my boss and then the owner. So I didn't see that there was anywhere for me to go. Um, and then number four, the fact that um, by virtue of my daughter going off to college, I would have a lot more freedom in being able to do stuff for myself because she would be on to a new chapter. So I think those four things kind of aligned, and then the pandemic happened and that just catapulted it.
I I don't know about anyone else. What I noticed is, especially because we had already been budget people because we had to. I mean, that was how we paid off 6 figures in student loan debt, what I began to realize is even with careful budgeting, like the pandemic, we were stacking a lot of
Hmm.
cash, a
Yeah.
lot of cash. And I was like, what do we do? And I was like, then start paying off the bills. And it was because we had started, I didn't realize the influence of the reason I found, like I should say it this way, the reason I found Rashida was
Hmm.
because I had been searching for what we were going to do when we retired. I've always wanted to live abroad, but I
Hmm.
had been looking for relocating retirement kinds of content. And then Rashida's MSNBC, making it video came up, and I was like, that's a Black woman who's young, and her message about not I can make, my coins can go farther. It wasn't just that message. When she said, I want to be the person that I am on vacation is the
Hmm.
person that I want to be all the time.
Hmm.
So what were you giving way to? What part of you did you desire to express more? So you're going to get some rest. I mean, you could probably go sit on a beach, or, go to a beautiful spa and get some good sleep. But what I'm hearing is it was probably more than that. Did you know that it was that only that you were leaving out of the door for? Or you were like, I'm going to start with rest, but I am hungry for more? Did you know that on the way out the door?
For me, rest was definitely a part of it, but an even bigger part of it for me was exploration, and
Mm,
exploration through travel.
mhm,
I come from a very small community, and not to say that I didn't travel before. I've always been someone that loved to travel. Um, and I saw this as an opening for me to be able to do that. One, with my daughter, because I structured it so that she could also take part in it before she went off to college. So she forgoed the first semester, the fall semester, so that she could travel with me, and then go off to school in January. So exploration, and not just exploration of the world, but exploration of what could be next in my life, in the
mhm,
next chapter. You know what I
mhm,
mean? And not as a vacation, as you take time off and you go somewhere and then you go back to your life. I knew that I did not want to go back to my life and the way that I lived before and the way that I worked before. I didn't know what that was going to look like. And that's something that I struggled with for a long time.
mm.
I didn't know what it was going to look like, but I knew that I didn't want to go back. And so I looked at it as a an opportunity for me to not only explore the world, but explore how am I going to reinvent myself, or what am I going to
Mm.
become in the next chapter of my life? So it was a combination of rest and exploration for me.
If you are if you are thinking a sabbatical, a a break could be helpful, how do you give yourself to the break? How do you give yourself to the rest when I think some of us that I mean I'm thinking about people like Diamond, the gallivanting grandma. When you are an event planner, when you're a person that it almost is a part of your nature. It's why we get into fields like this where my brain is used to being on, and I'm always thinking and connecting. And when you are giving yourself to rest, you're turning that off. What
Mhm.
did you find? I'm telling you because I've shared with you 2021. I was all about the work. 2022, my body said, thus far and no further.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And I wanted to structure, but my body made me sit down somewhere. How did you give way to the rest?
I'm not gonna lie, it was not easy because we're accustomed to always being on and
Mhm,
always going.
mhm,
And when we have that opportunity to not be on and to not be going, it then comes with a level of guilt for not producing, for not being activated, for not moving, for not doing. And it takes reminding yourself that you've done it all. And that's one of the things that I had to keep
mm,
reminding myself. You've done so much. You've done so much for your daughter. You've done so much for your employees. You've done so much for your parents and your family and all this stuff. At what point are you going to reward yourself and give yourself that break? And so it takes practice. It does. It really does. It's not something that you just get up one day and do because you get that guilt. And like we talked about earlier, you go back to the whole generational trauma of
mhm,
Black people and
mhm,
Black women always having to do more in order to prove their worth, in order to prove that they are needed and necessary, in order to prove that they're capable. And so it's something that's ingrained, something that we see in our family members growing up, something that we've been taught. You know, you got to work harder, you got to work harder than them because you're not going to get ahead, you're not going to make any
mhm.
money, and it's just like a constant. And so now when you say to yourself, you're giving yourself this gift of rest, you now have to take all of that and block it and throw it away. And that's not something that you can do overnight. You really have to work at it. And I had to definitely work at it. So I'm not going to sit here and say it was easy, but it wasn't. But you remind yourself that you're worth it and you've done all the work and it's your time.
Ooh, I remember telling my friends, so my girlfriends after my dad passed, these are ladies that I've been friends with since I learned to walk. I
Mm,
lie to you not. We all turned 50 the same year. And I said to my sisters, I'm happiest when I am busy. This is when, between my husband and I, we had 7 jobs. And I'm talking about easy 70-hour weeks. Easy, if not more. It was probably closer to 80 hours because when you have a goal, when you're driven, when you're the kind of person that says, I'm not just going to be the head of HR, I'm also going to be the head of operations. Like, some people bring that close. There's a sense of pride. There's a sense of I am trustworthy to handle these things. So I'm saying these things because you specifically asked me to use this word on the thumbnail, Superwoman.
mhm.
So this is a Superwoman's guide to rest. Why did you specifically want me to add that word in this discussion?
Well, because I think that we, and when I say we, I mean us Black women, Oftentimes we put ourselves in that category. Maybe not intentionally, but we do it because we have to take care of everyone and everything, and we have to be everything to everyone.
Yes.
And that's a superwoman. You know, you take care of your kids and your husband and your partner and your pets and your parents. And,
And
you
give me
know,
some more. I can do it and give me some more. And
yeah,
and,
I
and
can
look at
handle it.
me. Look at how busy I am. Look, I remember being I remember being in high school, in college, my most prized possession. If the house was going to burn down, it was going to be me and my planner.
Mm.
It was going to be me and my planner because we were besties. Like, I loved seeing all of, I mean, because you get the time,
Mhm.
those of us who with attention deficit disorder, if it's not written down, it don't exist. Like, I lived by my planner. I loved the structure, the peace that it gave me, and the pride that it gave me that I could be this busy, this impactful, this effective, that I could be recognized by others as trustworthy, but it comes at a cost.
It comes at a cost.
When your job becomes your kryptonite, the thing that drives you now literally sucks the life out of you. It
Mhm.
debilitates you. It doesn't sound like you were at that point, but I have talked to sisters and I shared a video. Okay, first of all, I want to say in this space, if you are triggered by this conversation, if this is a recent memory for you, we are here. The ladies in the chat right now, if you are watching in the replay, you are not alone. I shared a video about a young Black woman that said, "You're not lazy. You're just tired. Your nervous system is tired of being in survival mode." And I said, "Francis, look at this and read the comments. Do you remember what you said
Mhm.
back to me?"
Yep. If it were white, you wouldn't be a victim.
Hey, people are in the comments telling her, "Oh, that's just an excuse.
Hmm.
That's just
You're
an
just trying to be a
excuse.
victim.
You just playing the victim."
Hmm. Hmm.
And I was like, do you not recognize the brain body connection when you are always on, to use your words, when you're always on, eventually you're going to burn like a light, burn
No.
out. You're
Hmm.
going to, it's like your body can't help it. The sleepless nights, the I don't want to go in, the crying in the car. Dr. Kimani and Marissa are talking about it, in their spaces as well, about, look, when what is happening inside your body. If you are quiet, and that is what rest centered for me. When I was quiet, I could hear it screaming. But because I was so busy, I distanced that scream.
Mm.
What? Mm, I am a believer now, on the other side of taking 3 months.
Hmm.
You can build sabbatical into your everyday. And I'm saying this as I admitted before I pressed the go live to Francis. I am in this house and I have not been out in 4 days. I've walked down the front steps and back into the house. I have not. You can Sabbatical to me is a word that is both the timed break that we typically think of for folks in ministry and academics, but
Hmm.
it also has a deeply spiritual. The break that you take is sacred. You bring holiness to the silence that your body demands? Will you protect that? That is, the sabbatical is not just career break, is more than just I am interrupting my time at work. Francis is telling me, baby, we about to blow the whole thing up and
Mhm.
restructure it to fit with what you need. And it should not be centered on what, Francis? What should,
Work
I
should
mean,
not be.
what are you asking when you are coaching? What are you calling people toward? Because if I've got this and I feel like I'm functioning and I feel like I'm okay, and rest is foreign, rest is stigmatized, rest is, what are you asking them to see on the other side that they could be pulled toward?
One of the things I start with is, what are the pros and cons of you continuing to work or to live the way you're living?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? How long do you think living and working in this trajectory that you're on is going to, how long do you think your body can sustain it? How long do you think you can be um, present for the people that you love?
Mm-hmm.
And when I say present, I just don't mean there. I mean, like, engaged and happy and joyous in the engagement, because you continue to stress, whether it's work, whether it's family, whatever the case may be, and it affects many facets of your life. You know what I mean? It can affect your health, obviously. That's one of the first ways. The way you eat, lack of exercise, your ability to concentrate, being irritable, and yeah, just like my good friend Juliet says, at some point your body is going to say you got to sit down. Look, just, I don't know what happened to you experienced that as well, D. So weighing the pros and cons of, okay, so now I take this break. Think about all the things that I can actually do for myself. If it means I can take a nap in the middle of the day, great. If it means I can volunteer at the animal shelter 2, 3 times a week because I love dogs and I love cats, what does that do for you? It brings you joy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Those are the things that bring joy to you and to your life. If it means you get to go to a different country and stay for a month and immerse yourself in the culture, those are the things that bring you joy. So you think about what it will bring to me doing it versus what will happen to me if I stay in the status quo.
Yes, yes. I I put this comment up by Giovanna, who I've had on this channel before, but this is really the comment right here. I mean, the body keeps the score, y'all. I mean, it's on audiobook, it's on
Mhm.
Audible, it's at most of the library audiobook services, ebook services have access to it. But if you are unfamiliar with how stress, how burnout can look within the body, how the trauma of imbalance. Okay, I am disgruntled with that in HR we talk about work-life balance. First of all, it should never be work first. They're going to say work is first.
Mhm. All the
Okay, so
time.
the balance should come to work and not my life is the center and work must balance with it.
And the US is the only place that I know of in the world that centers work, before your life, you
Oh
know.
yes. Oh yeah.
Other countries are not like that.
But you got to get out there. You got to get out there and know that. You've got to get out there and see that. When you are talking about the pros and the cons, and I'm going to say this. Most of the Black women I encounter in my family, I have aunts that are in their 70s still working.
Ooh.
I still have family members who are, I mean, you know, two, three jobs is what they do. It's who they, it is a part of their identity,
Mm.
you know? Um, and so when we have the grandmothers, the aunties, the cousins, the community, where are you going to see? Where are you going to see the consequences of if you continue with what you do? Because all you see is everyone continuing in the
Doing.
same way. So
Mm-hmm.
what are you, I mean, you know, Giovanna's inviting us to a culture of reading that makes you, that brings awareness to you. I believe I heard you say remembering the things that bring you joy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when was the last time? Hmm. Okay, let's do it like this. When was the last time you fell asleep in bed and not in front of your computer, in front of your television, with your phone in your hand? Or, I'm admitting this on camera, getting out of the car, falling asleep with one leg in the car and one leg out of the car.
Wow.
I remember my grandmother, we were at church. She was a domestic, my dad's mom, and we would laugh because grandma would be in church and we'd be like, Grandma, did you fall asleep during the sermon? And she was like, no, I'm resting my eyes.
Oh gosh.
Loved her. But she was on for everybody. I mean,
Mm.
she, at her funeral, at age 56, the lines of people standing up to testify how she cooked a meal and brought it by because they had run out of their food stamps, and if she hadn't come by, that their family wouldn't have had food. She was a Bible worker. She was the treasurer at the church. She was, you know, she was a Bible school teacher. She, if there was a need, Sister Cook is what they say. Sister Cook was going to be there. She had a deep freezer on her front porch, the one that on the front porch that I love to go in because she kept a little space of popsicles just for me and my sister and my cousin.
Mm.
Like, and so what I have in front of me is someone that I love, that I revered as a child because I saw her big heart, but I saw literally that heart stop.
Mm.
Y'all, this is not a casual conversation. Superwoman is not a superwoman is not a pride. It's not it, we can stand on
Not
pride,
healthy. It's not healthy.
but it is not healthy. It is
Another person I definitely have to shout out, Kathy Hampton, Wellside Retreats.
100.
Kathy, she, and I don't want to use the word introduce because it's something that, you know, you always know about journaling.
Right.
But she really made me recognize how important and how much of a excellent resource journaling can be.
Yes.
And it's not something that I had ever done before this. Um, but that's something that instead of, like you said, going to bed with the TV on, you know, with the phone in your hand, you should, I read somewhere that at least an hour before you go to bed,
Turn
all
it off.
electronics
Turn
should
it
be,
off.
And so, thanks to Kathy, I have my journaling to do before I go to bed. I have like a stack of books, and I choose every night to read something from one of them.
Hmm.
I'm not one of those that is going to read from, from chapter A to Z. I get to pick and choose what I want to read tonight before I go to bed, and do my journaling, and
Hmm.
settle yourself. Breathing is another thing that I learned, or that she really reinforced for me. And I don't know if you've ever looked at her.
Oh, I do. I do the morning journaling with her when
Yeah,
I can wake up that early.
yes.
But yes, yes, that journaling practice, the breath work.
Breath work.
If you have not heard of boxed breathing before, something that just, I don't know if we recognize you can train your brain to slow down, and it doesn't take much. And the more you do it, the faster you get into that peaceful mindset. So if you're thinking, I can't write because my brain goes too fast, it's a practice, which means it's you're practicing till you get it to the point where it does what you need it to
What
do.
you needed to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So she
yeah,
was really instrumental in that for me,
yes.
and helping me to, you know, settle your mind basically, before you go to bed. Or for some people that, they do it in the morning. I sometimes prefer to do it at the end of the night, because another book I read, well, a couple of times, is Secret. And it talks about you at the end of the night, or at the end of the day, you look back at all the things that happened to you, for you, during that whole day. And then you
Mhm,
also prepare yourself, and you set intentions for what you want the next day to look like, or the things that you want
mhm,
to do and accomplish. And I think if you're trying to be, excuse me, if you're trying to be a superwoman, when do you get to do those things and to set time aside for yourself, half an hour before you go to bed, a half an hour when you get up,
mhm,
to center yourself, to prepare yourself for the a good night's rest, if at night, and for a productive day, whatever that looks like for you the
mhm,
next morning.
mhm. I thank you, Juliet, for this statement. We have to learn to ask ourselves when is it enough to stay on the grind? There is, when I think of single moms, when I think of, just the way our lives are structured, the economy is
Mhm.
structured, that being being productive for a lot of us means cash to be able to live our lives. And so when you're trying to change directions, what are some points where this is necessary for my life comes to the rub with this is this is blocking me from being able to do what I feel like is going to get me to the rest state.
I think it all goes back to, you know, how long are you going to continue to run yourself ragged? You know what I mean? How long do you think you can sustain the way that you've been living and working for however many years it's been? Um,
Mhm,
we look at, like you just mentioned about money, and you look at, people set standards for themselves based on what they see other people have. And do
mhm,
you really need, you think about what you really need to have, or to be happy, to live a happy life? Do you really need the 5 bedroom house and the 2 cars and the garage, and all the other stuff? Think about the things that you really need to make you happy and to live a joyful life. Another thing is, what we need to remember is, especially if we have children, what are we teaching our children? if we are so set on the materialistic aspects of living and life, and not
Mhm.
on health, and not on well-being.
Yes, yes, yes. Diamond, you cannot heal in survival mode.
Mhm.
I tell my mamas as a doula, you trying to fight the pain. I was like, your body cannot heal when you are in pain. Like,
Right.
take the pain medicine. If you need a nap, that's your pain medicine. If you need to take a nap in the middle of the day, block your schedule, treat it like I am out of the office. I am not reachable. Put your computer in a different area, turn your light off, put a do not disturb sign, lock your door, whatever you got to do wherever you are. Claim your peace. Get
Mhm.
yourself some noise canceling headphones, put on some ocean sounds, lay your head on your desk like we did in first grade and kindergarten. Drink your water, eat some food. People What I've been surprised by, Francis, is a lot of people don't recognize, we think of, a demanding schedule is stress. Going hungry for long periods of time is stressful to your body. Being
Mhm.
dehydrated
Dehydrated, yeah.
is a stressor to your body. Fighting sleep. What they said is, I heard that this weekend in one of those infomercials. Tiredness is like a hunger cue from your brain. That took me out because y'all, I fight. I'm the night owl. I am the night owl. And to hear somebody say that, just like I'm trying to build, just like that's my cue to get ready to go to bed. So I'm
Mhm.
not supposed to ignore that for long. But you need cues that remind you to respond.
Mhm.
And so give yourself that. But just like Giovanna is saying right here, it is not easy.
It's not. It's
That
not.
soft life is just like, you gotta fight for it.
Because you
So
feel guilty that because you're so accustomed to always going and always doing. So when you sit down or when you lay down, you're like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be doing something.
the soft life is
It
like a
is a
good
process. She's
man,
absolutely right.
that compliments you and you say, you're too nice, I can't be with you. I'm sorry. I'll take the soft life for 500. I will take the soft life. But I mean, it for me, it took some getting used to.
Hmm.
It took some getting used to going to bed a little bit earlier and a little bit earlier and a little bit earlier. I had to say, ain't nobody else on. Like, nobody is green on Teams but me.
Oh.
Write down the things that I need to do, and that'll be at the top of your list in the morning. Like, there is a stressor when you have to wear, and I'm speaking my truth here, when you have to wear compression socks because you are sitting in front of your computer for hours and hours, your body is telling you something. Yes, stop using the term work-life balance. I'm putting forward these things because Temple is in these comments, Natural Ally D in the comments. Y'all are telling us about the physical sensations we have tolerated, that when you get to a certain age,
Hmm.
it's actually happening younger and younger. Your body can't take it like that no more. All that
Hmm.
staying up long at night, man, the Democratic National Convention is on, y'all. I hung with them the first night and the second night. I was like, I had to catch the replay because democracy is not about to hold me back. You hear
But
me?
let me say this one thing about you. You mentioned being at your desk and just like for hours and hours. The same way that you have your alarm telling you to, it's time for you to get ready to go to bed. Put one on during work, and try to work like in increments of time. You focus for 25 minutes and you stop for 5, and then you go back.
Let me tell you, this is what I had to do, young people. If you drink enough water,
You're gonna have to get up.
nature nature will ensure. Now you can sit there,
Hmm.
but there are consequences,
Yeah.
immediate consequences for ignoring it. So, like you said, build in those reminders. Have
Hmm.
a check in with somebody. If you're in the office, get a buddy. Let's go walk. Somebody that's you're responsible, they're responsible. Hey, if we're not out by, 2 o'clock is our time. If you don't come to get me, I'm coming to get you no later than 10 after.
Yeah.
We will, find some accountability. Javana's talking about a book that she's reading in the comments, 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals. So I will put that in the description as well. Y'all, thank you so much for sharing, taking a pivot, keep pivoting.
Hmm.
It's incremental. Isn't that what a coaching relationship, your coaching relationship that you're developing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Getting ready to pivot and also being aware when it's time to pivot again, and,
Mm-hmm.
and using those opportunities not as a setback, but a setup to pivot
Mm-hmm.
again.
Mm-hmm.
She said the preparation is hard, but how can we financially prepare while visualizing our next move? One of the things for me that really helped me when I was preparing financially was I created buckets in my account. And
Mm-hmm.
I had buckets for whatever the thing is that I wanted to do. I had a bucket for travel, I had a bucket for an emergency fund, I had a bucket for my home. Create buckets. Automation is the best thing.
Amen.
Set up your automations in your account so that you don't have to focus on, okay, I'm getting paid on Friday, I got to send this money here, and so make it automatic. And so that whatever, once all that is said and done, then the money that you have is the money that you have to live on or to do X, Y, and Z. But try to automate your finances as much as you can, whether it's student loans or savings or investing, or let the money go automatically, and forget, set it and forget it, basically.
I love being in HR because I know that if most companies, most medium to large size companies have employee self service portals,
Hmm.
and some will allow you to send percentages
Hmm.
of your monthly salary
Or dollar
in
amount.
different but many of them you can set a dollar amount.
Hmm.
So if you need to start with $5 goes into my whatever, my travel fund, because it's what has surprised me is you'll work with what you got left.
Yes.
If you don't see it, it doesn't exist. It's
Hmm.
just stacking over there. I literally put things in accounts that I don't have a debit card to. It's going to take a couple of days to get moved over. So it becomes less of a distraction,
Hmm.
And so, having those buckets, we've talked about buckets on this channel before, as far as budgeting, but also creating those buckets for, hey, I want to take some time off. I need to save 2 months of salary or 3 months of salary, and I have gotten my budget to a minimum. It creates lowers the expectation that I need to have, $50,000 set aside to be able to take some time off. So even who was it? It might have been Stephanie that said, sometimes you just need to do, if you're a high powered, high earner, try something that's a whole lot less.
Mm-hmm.
It's generating enough funds, but doesn't come with the same stress and pressures as your other job. I love tutoring English online. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I heard Sabangale, who is in the chat right now, who
Mm-hmm.
said she was like, I do it every morning. She's retired. She was like, but I just enjoy it. So I think finding something that brings you joy. If you all do not know Alicia Renice, the artist, please, I invite you to watch her channel, to become a subscriber, because I sent Frances, I sent, I sent Frances the episode that she did, and then she had the nerve, Alicia had the nerve to then write a song for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She
She
sure
said,
did.
you're not lazy. You're
You're
just tired.
tired. You're tired.
You're
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
tired. And you deserve rest, not I've earned it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the dynamic of Superwoman means that I earn every gift that comes to me. My humanity invites rest because I'm human. I am mortal. Whoever said that in the chat, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Nicole is saying automation has changed her life and
Mm-hmm.
your stress goes down. Man, those auto debits dipping in your account every month. Have account that X amount of dollars every month needs to come out. And this is how we're still doing it. We say all of the bills we've tried to put as we probably got about 95% of our bills are automated. Now I'm checking them. We keep a budget because
Mm-hmm.
there are times when, like my cell phone, I was like, why is it $30 more? And we call, oh yeah, you were in a grandfathered plan and we've gone up on those plans $10. You didn't see me no email, you didn't see me
Mm-mm.
no message. So keep
You
away.
have to keep an eye on them. Yes, you
But
do. Mm-hmm.
it takes the stress out because the bills are going to be paid.
Get
If you've
paid.
got so much flexibility in your budget, that's when you need to come close and make some decisions. That's where a Francis can help you to look at what's keeping what are the most frequent things, because Nicole's brought up money. What are the things that people are saying to you as a coach? I can't take a career break.
Uh, Primarily the job, not being comfortable with leaving their job or taking time off because they feel like A, they might be replaced, or, B, it may be held against them. Money is another one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Not knowing what they're going to do and feeling, again, going back to what we talked about before, feeling guilty about not working or not doing something,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
not knowing what they're going to do when it's over. I mean, am I going to go back to what I know or what's going to happen? Getting rid of stuff, that's a huge one. Decluttering. People are very hands-on with their stuff as much as there's stuff that you don't need and
Or
you probably
haven't
don't
looked at
use
or used in 10
hasn't used,
years.
but you still can't let go of it. You know, that's another big one. But I think the biggest things are the job and money. Good job
Yes.
with money. At my highest level, when I was in going through my process, I was saving about 50% of my income.
Hmm. But you build up to that. You
Oh
build
yeah, definitely,
you build
definitely.
up,
It's
you
not
build
up
up
right
over
out the gate. You know, as you get rid of some debt, then of course you're able to increase your savings rate. As you
time.
get rid of something else, you increase it a little bit more. When you get a raise, you increase your 401k contribution. You know, stuff like that. It's over time. It's over time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I, I want to end with this. You're not taking a career break for you. The
Hmm.
young people around you, the people around you are watching. Baby, Layla, if y'all don't know Layla, y'all need to get on the Gallivanting Grandma's channel as well. She's on Instagram too.
The cat whisperer.
Baby, she the cat whisperer. She is, I mean, she knows how to relax. She knows she is the luxury of I know what feeling good and smelling good and being in beautiful places. And I know my grandma not spending $100,000, bling blinging us around.
Hmm.
She's learning those things. You breathing, somebody's watching. Trust me, somebody's going to notice that you're not falling asleep during your Zoom meeting. And they're going to ask you, you look rested. How are you doing that? You're, I've noticed it looks like you're losing weight
Hmm.
because when you feed yourself, that was something I had to learn. And that's a totally different conversation. What I was fighting weight. And what the dietitian told me was, you're not eating enough calories. And so you're in starvation mode. When you start to eat well and you are exercising and hydrating, then your body can work together because it's saying, we don't know when we're going to get this back.
So it's
Our,
holding on.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
holding
yeah.
on to it. Yeah.
And so if not for you alone, this is something we talk about creating generational wealth. We are disrupting the capitalism cycle pulls that can take us away from our families
Absolutely. Yeah.
and that can bring disability and lower quality of life, not only to me but to the people around me. My kid said, "Ma, you are more patient since you were on a break."
I remember when I went back to my old job, just to visit, because I mean, we're still friendly and stuff. And everybody that I came across was like, your whole face is different. Your skin
Mm.
is different. You just look so much lighter and brighter. And it's only once you get out of it and you feel it and you live it, and you see, wow, it was really that bad, huh? I was really in a bad way
I
because
took a
everybody was like,
video.
whoa,
I
what
took a
did you do?
video of myself. I don't ever want to go back there. I can tell you that truth. I can tell you that truth. So I am so thankful for this space that you have given to us. I'm going to ask you to share, like what's in the description of this video. Where can we find you? How can we work with you? How can we come closer to your story and your influence as we are beginning to make the steps
Okay.
toward reclaiming our time and our joy?
Definitely. You can find me on Instagram at Find Her Freedom. And there you also find all of my links. You can also find me on Facebook, but it's under my name, Frances Benjamin. I'm not on YouTube yet. Never say
Come on,
never.
come to the good side. Come on to the good side.
You're the second
You
person
were
that
in
told me that
the
this
next
week.
clients challenge. Hey, Marissa is in the chat. She gonna help you. I'll help you. Our whole
Uh,
sisterhood of is there to help
what
you.
I know for
Let's do it.
sure is that I have help. Just like
Yes,
you said, I have you. I know I have Marissa. I have Diamond. So I'm not even worried about that. I know I have the help. I just need to take the plunge.
yes. Giovanna was in a different cohort, but we are of the same mind. We don't. We share. We share. We learn together. You taught me a thing or two about a beautiful landing page, y'all. When you see it, you're gonna be like, and she did it herself.
Mhm.
Go ahead, take your bow.
Listen, when Stephanie and Rashida said, "You don't need a website," that was all I needed to hear. Because those websites are a pain.
Yes,
And when I
absolutely.
discovered this thing, I was like, okay, I can do this.
Absolutely. Y'all, I'm so proud to have Frances as a colleague, as a friend, as someone that I can point to that is a resource that I'm learning from and that I feel like I couldn't just keep her to myself. Um and I think you should do the same. If you are learning something, share it with at least one other person, one other Black woman who is who may not even recognize that she's looking for breadcrumbs. Because as we talked about at the beginning of this story, I don't think we went out looking for Exodus Summit. I don't think we went looking out for someone who said center travel, center rest, center ease.
Mhm.
But when the universe is aligning for you and the divine has things moving in a direction that will lean you toward the desires of your heart, I hope as you like this video, as you comment on this video, as you subscribe, that more things like this will be brought toward you for your peace, for your rest, for your joy, for your do nothing. It is for you. There are there are ways to do it and you don't have to be the expert.
Mhm.
Frances, thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you. And we're going to be working together some more because we have another project coming up in a
We do.
couple, what, in a month or so.
That's right.
And so I will be reaching out to you because we need to bounce stuff off of each other.
That's right.
But yeah, I definitely want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity to come on your channel. You know, we've talked more than once, and you know how I feel about this thing. So thanks to you for giving me that push, and you know, all the women in the community that cheer you on and tell you you can do it. You know what I
That's
mean,
right.
and make themselves available to you. You know, you, Diamond, Marissa, Kathy, the list goes on and on. So let me
That's
stop
right.
naming names because there's so many.
It
But
is.
yeah, everybody is it's just such an awesome, awesome community of welcoming Black women with, I mean, from all facets of life, with all kinds of experiences and
Mhm.
know-how and are willing, and that's the biggest thing, are willing to share. No one
Absolutely.
is interested in keeping their knowledge and their experience from you. They're all just willing and open and wanting to help you. And so I thank you, and we will be in touch again soon.
Absolutely. Collaboration is always for the win.
Absolutely.
And may each of you find your tribe, find your community. We'll be here.
Mhm.
I've got a whole lineup of people. If you're on today, you might be getting another pitch because we learned that too.
We sure did. We sure
You
did.
will be receiving a pitch from me because that is what we do. Your stories are rich and they are inspiring. Keep being inspired. Ain't no imposters here. There's no experts here. Not when we can share. When what is it? When we fight, we win.
Win. Yeah. Yeah.
Win. And I am invested in you winning. And Francis is investing in you winning. Please
Absolutely.
invest in yourself. Fight for yourself. You deserve the win of a career break, a win of rest, a win that lets go of guilt related to, hey, I'm lazy because I need time to rest. Y'all, find your freedom.
Find your
Until
freedom.
next time. Thank you all so much for joining today. Bye for now.